Here we want to relate standard forms to horizontal and vertical lines. So we are going to take a look at what happens when we have the coefficient of x be 0. So in this example, if a is equal to 0, we are going to attempt to find the x and y intercepts for this equation to see what happens. So here I found the x and y intercepts by the definitions of what an x and y intercept means. Notice that for the y-intercept, I was able to follow through with the problem and I ended up with y equals 3. This is a point I can plot on my y-axis. Y is 3, so I'm plotting a point at the y-intercept. However, when I followed through the x-intercept process, I ended up with 6 divided by 0. 6 divided by 0 does not mean 0. 6 divided by 0, if I put this in a calculator, I would get an error message, something that says undefined or does not exist. This means that the x-intercept does not exist. Because it does not exist, I cannot plot a point on this. Therefore, this is just going to turn into a horizontal line at the y-intercept 3. If I go back to the original equation, that 0x means that 0 multiplied by whatever number x is the same thing as the equation just 2y equals 6, which is also just the equation y equals 3. So whenever I have an equation that just says y equals to a number, it is safe to assume that the equation will always be a horizontal line at that y-intercept. I'm going to attempt to do this same idea that we did in the previous example, but this time with the coefficient of y. I want to see what happens when I make b equal to 0. So if I attempt to find the x and y intercept for this equation, I can find an x-intercept. I end up with x-intercept of -2, which I can plot on the x-axis. However, when I try and find the y-intercept, again, I end up with -6 divided by 0, which means this does not exist. And because it does not exist, I cannot plot that point. Therefore, I only have an x-intercept point, which will give me a vertical line across the -2 intercept point. If I go back to my original equation, because I had 0y, that would have canceled out, leaving me with just 3x equal to -6, or just x equals -2. So every time you see an x equals a number, it is safe to assume that you will always have a vertical line across that x-intercept.